Credibility is often underrated, and yet understanding and leveraging credibility can transform your personal and professional interactions. Let's have ourselves some pocket sized pep talk because by mastering credibility, individuals can enhance their influence, foster deeper connections, and navigate their careers and business ventures with greater effectiveness and confidence. Stick and stay. We're going to talk about credibility.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
Today's guest, Mitchell.levy, is a two-time TEDx speaker and internationally best-selling author with over 60 books. He is renowned for his expertise and credibility. His extensive experience includes founding 20 companies in Silicon Valley, serving on the board of a NASDAQ-listed firm, and consulting for numerous organizations. His unique approach to credibility has been recognized by Leaders Hum and Thinkers 360, underscoring his influence in the field. We are happy to have you with us. Welcome to the show, Mitchell.
Rob, it is great to be here. What a nice intro. Thank you.
Isn't it nice? Now, you wrote some of it, but isn't it nice?
Well, it's quite possible that ChatGPT added value there, but whoever did it, I loved it.
Right. Between the three of us, we did okay, huh?
There we go. Yeah.
Right. Listen, I want to dive right in with you. I want to start with a simple, puzzling question. How does a person write over 60 books, let alone articles?
Yeah, it's interesting. So for the businesses that are part of that 20 are book publishing companies. We have published over 750 books. My goal as a publisher was always to make it easier for the author to write books. So each new publishing company had a different name, different series, different branding, and different approach for writing.
Okay.
And as an example, 42 Rules was 42 500-word blog posts. So if you were blogging, you had 42 500-word articles, you put them together in a cohesive way, and now you have a book called 42 Rules of, and fill in the blank. So the thing is, I'm a big fan of experiential delivery. And so if you're creating a publishing company, before you actually create the company, you have to experiment. Hey, I want to work with blog posts. I like to work with tweets. I like to work with being able to dictate conversations. And so I basically was a guinea pig. I don't know where that phrase comes from, but I was a guinea pig for many of the books that we created, and it's kind of fun. And so I did work and had my team help me make it easier.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, it knocked me for a loop when I first saw that, because I was thinking, you and I both know what goes into writing a book. And so I was thinking, boy, this guy, does he have a social life? Is he getting out there and, eating at a restaurant occasionally? So, all right, that helped me a little bit. That they took the mystery out of it for me. But
Okay.
let's shift over for a second, because, all right, you're writing a lot of books, doing a lot of writing, and I got the method. Usually I ask an author, how that book found you, because I don't think we find books. I think they kind of find us. But with you, with as much as you, but prolific as you are, I figured I'd turn the question more towards being a credibility expert. Why credibility? How did that topic find you?
Oh, it's a great question. So having worked with thought leaders for decades, so first we'll step back. During the dot-com days, I was Mr. E-commerce. When I left Sun Microsystems in 1997, I was that guy evangelizing proselytizing. I think that's the right word.
Ah, you got it.
Yeah, anyhow. Well, I was a bad word was coming to mind, and I couldn't get anyhow. So, I was talking about how the internet was going to change everything. And Rob, here's the cool part or scary part. There were two companies where the CEO kicked me out of the doors because the internet was just a fad. And so what was interesting, I enjoyed that work. I loved what I was doing. And of course, what was good during the dot-com days, you say the word e-commerce, you got money. What was bad during the dot-bomb is you say the word e-commerce, nobody wants you. So that was a morph that I needed to make. And what in Silicon Valley, what we talk about is how many times have you morphed in life, right? And so the one you specifically asked for, why did I focus on credibility? Well, when I started looking at when I was running for publishing companies, I started looking at where Amazon was going and the democratization of the ability to publish books. And I realized that this won't last forever. Even though I started those companies in 2005, it was in 2019. And this was nice. I mean, I had a nice six-figure business for a long time. But in 2019, I decided to go on a Napoleon Hill journey. And what got me there was, well, if I look at all these thought leaders I work with who, the goal of writing a book is, can you open up doors either by speaking on stage or sending out books? Can you open up doors to close business? That's what a book does. And so what I was thinking about, well, who do I work with? I work with thought leaders. What do thought leaders want with a book? They want credibility. What is the definition of credibility? I don't think that's enough. After I thought about that, the next day I go, Napoleon Hill, 500 millionaires, Think and Grow Rich, Mitchell.levy, 500 thought leaders, and I didn't know the name of the book. It's now called Credibility Nation. And I unraveled so many incredible secrets, and I'll share two. So one secret is we know the phrase know, like, and trust. What I'm going to say, that's a great phrase. However, that was a great phrase before the internet. Because let's say in the old days, you're on a horse, you go into town, your horse kicks off something's wrong, and you want to go to the blacksmith, and there are two in town. You're going to go to somebody and say, hey, I don't know this town. Which one of the blacksmiths is better? So I only see one, is there another one, right? It's you knowing in that phrase, know, like, and trust was all about, hey, let me figure out who I get to know. But now you got Google, you got Gemini, you can know anything you want to know at your fingertips. So the phrase needed to be reordered. It's trust, know, like. So for instance, let's say you go to your friend Gemini and you say, hey, where's the right blacksmith? Or you fill in the blank of what's the great web service provider, marketing person, what's the next speaker I need to look at? And you type that in. I want a speaker who does motivational stuff that will actually help me understand how I implement after they get off the stage, right? So if I type that in, I'm going to get a list of, and if I do Gemini, give me the top 10. Now, hopefully you're one of those that come in the top 10, and I might spend seconds looking at the top 10. I'm going to look at their webpage, and the first thing I do is I'm going to say, do I trust that this person can do the job? 5 seconds. Then what happens is, I'm going to spend another 30 seconds to get to know them a little bit better. So as I'm scrolling down the webpage and as I get to know them, what I'm going to probably step on is a video testimonial or a testimonial, and I see what they talk about. I see where their guarantees, whatever it is that they do. And as I get to know them, they should build upon the trust, and they should get me to like them. That's where the video testimonials come in. And so if I spend the minute, and imagine I'm some admin, I'm looking for you as a speaker, and I look at the top 10, I'm going to spend 10 minutes. What'll happen is after I spend the minute, I'm like, oh yeah, here are the 3 I want to look at in more detail before I reach out. Trust, know, like. So that was one of the key lessons I learned.
All right, hang tight. Yeah, because I want to stay on that trust piece for a second. I don't think the word trust can be overrated. Okay. I just don't think it's possible. It's the foundations. Like if you're building a house, that's the footing. That's what everything's built on it. And yet, and I'm speaking as a former Xerox guy where we had processes for everything. We had a lot of trouble processing trust. Making it repeat, do these 4 things and everyone will trust you. It's really hard to process that. Urgency you can process. There's a lot of things you can put a process to and stylize. So can you carve into that a little bit for me? We'll put it first on the list. I'm with you. Let's put a how we do that. How do you create trust?
So what ended up happening, and for those that are interested, I have the book, but I also did a TEDx. The TEDx is called we are losing our humanity, and I'm tired of watching it happen. So what I ended up doing out of the 500 interviews is come up with the pillars: trust, know, like. And in each pillar, overall, there are 10 values of credibility. So what I'll say under the values of trust: vulnerability, integrity, authenticity. And now here's one. This is really interesting. It was a great story. I had 9 values overall of credibility. And I got this $35,000 a speaking, probably the guys you hang out with, but he was a speaking guru, and came in for the interview. Now, when somebody would come in for an interview, I would send them a 16-minute question, video ahead of time. Here's how you prep. We're going to ask you 5 questions. Here are the 5 questions. Here's how to best answer the question 1, question 2. Wait, so I would give enough feed forward.
You're telling them the best way to answer the question you're offering them?
The best way to think about how to answering the question.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Thanks
Got
for
it.
asking.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's the best way to answer the question. Yeah, that would be silly. Thanks for clarifying that. And so this guy came in, and the first question I had asked somebody is, what is your CPOP? CPOP stands for Customer Point of Possibilities. Essentially, in less than 10 words, and by the way, this is where we could talk about this later. I am the #1 expert on clarity. I could sit with any company, any individual, help them articulate where they're executing on their purpose in less than 10 words. So I would say, what is your CPOP? This is not your 30-second elevator pitch.
Right.
This is who and what. Who do you serve, and what pain point or pleasure point? Like, this is really essentially, if you know this, it's the compass that paints the phrase for everything else. He came back and gave me his 30-second elevator pitch. And I said, well, most of the time people talk about, 1, 2, 3 words of who they serve, and maybe 2, 3, 4 words of either their pain point or pleasure point. He shrunk his elevator pitch to 15 seconds. And then I said something that his answer blew me away in a negative way. I said, do you mind if I do a little bit of coaching? And his response was, yes, I do. I have my way of doing things, and you have yours, and I don't want to learn yours. Now, you and I probably...
That cuts me to the core, I got to tell you. Keep going, but it's like a gut punch when I hear that, Mitchell. Just
Dude.
5 seconds on that. Just because I actually tell people the day I show up and say, I know all that already, okay, is the day I want somebody to encourage me to, okay, grab your golf clubs. Time to go play golf. You're done. You're done.
Rob, exactly. As an executive coach, when I run into a CEO or someone in the C-suite staff that are no longer, are you ready for the word, coachable, it's time for them to move on.
Right.
I sat on the board of a public firm. The CEO would have me interview executive staff. If I found somebody who didn't want to listen to the CEO or didn't want to listen to customers or their staff because they had a better answer, I would never say yes. So that was a, what's the right word? Pleasant surprise. That was a gift given to me, although it was negative at the time. By the way, I instead of saying the initial 4-letter F word that came to my mind, I basically left silence for 2 or 3 seconds. It was enough time to feel uncomfortable. You know what? The pregnant pause is a great way for speakers to get their point across. It was
so underrated, Mitchell. So underrated. Pausing is so underrated. In selling, in speaking, and when we're on stage, by the way, people think they're pausing. The adrenaline is flying so high that what you think is a 3 seconds pause is 3/100ths of a second pause. But I'm a fan of pretty much everything you're talking about. I just need to let it breathe a little bit. Fan of pausing, particularly when you're the one who threw in the word authenticity, right? You want to be authentic. When we're at Starbucks, we pause, okay?
Exactly.
When we're just having coffee with a buddy, and that's as authentic as it gets.
I love that. And so I inserted the pause.
Mm-hmm.
And there was enough time for him to say, this is not going to work out between the two of us. And my response was, you are absolutely right. Thanks so much. And best of luck with everything you're going to do in the rest of your life. Right. And it really, it shocked me. But so how do you build trust? First of all, you can't know it all. You have to be vulnerable. Second, now the word integrity, if you don't mind, I'm going to go off because there's integrity was the only value in the 10 that was listed twice. But integrity, what I'm referring to under being trust is external integrity, how you show up, what you say, how you do your thing. And authenticity is authentically showing up as you. Now, the problem with authenticity by itself is you could authentically be a serial killer. You could authentically be hedonistic. And so authenticity shows through. Authenticity is one of the most manipulative emotions you could possibly have because people feel that authenticity and they get excited about it. The downside is, and this is where when you get to know somebody, so know is four characteristics as well. You need to know somebody. So let me do the 4 for know, right?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you're going to have to double back on that, what you just said, but go do your 4. I want to get back at the hammer you just threw at authenticity, but go do your 4. But we're coming back to that, Mitchell. I'm not letting you off of the hook on that one.
Oh,
Keep
love
going.
that.
Good.
Love that. So the number one I think about in terms as you get to know somebody, are they a servant leader? Are they there to be of service to others? The next 2 is, do they have the intent and commitment to do the right thing? So if you could authentically see that somebody has the intent and commitment to do the right thing, and that authenticity comes through, that gets exciting. Now, this is where the word integrity was here twice. When I published the results, I did not know why integrity needed to be there twice. What I found about a year later was that the integrity that's associated with trust is your external integrity, and the integrity associated with knowing you is your internal integrity. And for those people, if you ever got a gut feel that something's wrong, they're saying all the right words, but something's wrong, it's simply because they're saying the words external integrity you want to hear, but they've lost their mojo. They've lost their yearning for an excitement level. They don't believe the stuff they're saying anymore. And so those are the 4 associated with as I get to know somebody.
You kind of knocked authenticity back. And let me tell you, that's becoming more and more popular. I am a believer that authenticity, I hate the word soft skill, like refer to it as a performance skill, because it belittles one of the most important skills we can have. But you're talking about credibility. To not be believed is life altering. It's career altering and it's life altering and it's serious. And I'm a guy who will not throw my hands in the air and say, you're born with it or you're not. I'm not believing that. I believe that we might not be a 10 out of 10 on this, but there are things that we can do to try and help become more believable. And I sort of lump authenticity into that. So if you can remember, and I will feature it, but if you can remember, tell me what you don't like about authenticity again. What's the problem with authenticity?
Oh, so not necessarily a problem.
Okay.
It's just authenticity is the number one emotion that it affects other people.
Okay.
If you want to take a look at what's called the Spain, SPANE index, we as humans vibrate at a frequency. Mm-hmm. When surveys are done associated with the Spain index, the emotion that affects those around you more than any other emotion, we think it's love, but it's authenticity. So here's what's interesting. To say authenticity works and authenticity is the best thing you could be, the answer is yes, but let's do the and. The and is you could authentically be a serial killer. You could authentically be someone who's hedonistic, who's narcissistic. And we still get drawn into people who are authentic. And so you don't necessarily need to be authentic in a way that's good for society or good for you as a buyer.
Yeah.
But you still may get drawn in.
All right, let me jump in. Okay. To me, it's what's that term you're throwing out, the baby with the bathwater? I hear what you're saying, and I love this, by the way. I hope you do too. I like when a guest and I can kind of battle it out a little bit.
Awesome.
I just think that, like, when I write sales books, there are two processes. This is the one that I want that people with integrity use, and this is the sales process that bad people use. You're an expert on persuasion. I know a few things about persuasion too. There aren't two models based on your intent. Okay, that's the manipulation part of all this. The process doesn't change. It's how you apply it. Do you apply it with integrity or do you not apply it with integrity? But I'm not throwing the concept out. I just want to punch people in the nose who are using it, who are persuading people for their own gain, etc. They can do that from our books, Mitchell. That's the problem. And yet we write these books and I actually put warnings. Please don't manipulate with this. But you talk about elevator pitches. And you talk about shrinking this one, and I know that guy didn't end up so well, but I'm sure you work with people who you can work with elevator pitches on. I'm actually not a huge fan of elevator pitches because they usually lack authenticity. They have all the words in the right spot, but nobody knows how to deliver the words. So it sounds like an elevator pitch. Yeah.
You know why? You'll get this immediately.
Okay.
When somebody shares an elevator, by the way, I don't like elevator pitches. So I'm absolutely
lined up again.
And you should throw them out. But here's the thing. No, but, and where is the elevator pitch delivered from? Is it delivered from here, your head, or is it delivered from here, your heart?
Right. Usually the head, by the way, Mitchell, and that's where they go.
And that's why they suck. You can't be authentic. You can't have integrity. You can't feel somebody's true emotions if they're speaking from their head. They have to speak from them.
Yeah.
So what I do I have a process. It's very simple. Any company, any individual, I help them within or less than 10 words articulate where they're executing on their purpose. Now that if you're saying something that's 2, 3, 4, 5 words, that is something you memorize because you feel it's who you are. It's how you show up in the world.
Right.
When somebody gets curious, so I'll share with you, for instance, for me, it's Inc. 5,000 CEOs leading the future with executive gravitas. Now, what happens when you hear that? You're one of 3 people. You're either a referral partner, you're either a prospect, or you're somebody who doesn't give a shit. It doesn't mean they don't care about you. It just means they don't care about that playground you play in. Inc. 5,000 CEOs leading the future with executive gravitas. Right? If you are 1 or 2, if you're a referral partner or a prospect, the most natural thing for you to say is tell me more.
Right.
When you answer the tell me more, you don't answer it from your head. You answer it from your heart based on who you're talking to.
Right. How do you get, okay, because I'll swap ideas with you, but I want you to go first. You're my guest. Again, can't disagree with you, but the people who are struggling are going, let me write that down. Okay. How do you go from the head to the heart? You're not losing me. It's, if you were coaching me, if you're coaching this audience, and folks, buy all his books because he's only going to give you little snippets. You got to read the books and go to his website. And we're going to give you his web. What's the website real fast, Mitchell? Am I hit it again?
Just go to Mitchell.levy.com.
Okay. And that's Levy, by the way. Okay. All right. Well, can you, and I'm going to put a shot clock on you. I call it a communication shot clock. Okay. 60 seconds or less. Tell me how somebody goes from the head to the heart. Because we got the words, as I say, we don't know the tune. So help me with the tune, Mitchell.
So if you know who and what, so if you know who you serve, less than 3 words, and what their pain point or pleasure point is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your playground you play in. When somebody says, tell me about that. So with mine, what do you mean executive gravitas? Or what do you mean leading the future? Or what do you mean I'm not an Inc. 5000 CEO? Would you still work with me? Whatever the form of the tell me more is, your response needs to be specifically for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're talking to them, it's not stuff you've said before. It's stuff that you're communicating because you've had hopefully a conversation. And if you've had a conversation, you know more. Or if you've done, you and I just commented that we had done research on each other before we got in a room together.
Right.
Being credible is coming early. You'll notice I came 10 minutes early. Coming
Came early. I had him. I took him out of the waiting room 5 minutes early because he was waiting in there. I appreciate that. Keep going.
Yeah. So you come early, come prepared, come with your heart. So if you're talking to somebody, particularly a prospect,
yeah,
and they say, tell me more. Well, I noticed on your website, or I noticed in the news that this is going on. And you know what? The process I have will fix that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that I can fix that. That could be a tell me more. If you truly believe that you could solve that issue, your tell me more will stop right there. Tell me more could be 20. What do you mean you could fix that? Well, why don't we make more time at another point in time, because I have a 10-step process that has been proven and worked a number of different times. And I'd love to share that with you as somebody else. But here's the thing. I will guarantee that I can do it because it addresses these issues that you personally said were important to you.
Okay. You got to work on your watch. It's a very slow running watch that you have on your wrist there, but we're going to call that 60 seconds.
You asked a second question. Sorry. I could do it again.
That's true. That is true. I interrupted. Good point. Okay. Love it. It's funny. I think I'm going to build on it if I could for a second, because I like where you're getting the words from. And now I'm going to go to the tune a little bit and say everything you just said, Mitchell, and take yourself mentally to be in the moment. In other words, I think too often we're working on difficult responses or elevator pitches, and in our head we're saying, here comes the elevator pitch, but I'm going to really feel emotion. I'm going to really lock in. No. Take yourself to a time where you've actually felt that emotion. Let your body, believe it or not, Carol Burnett said this, Mitchell. She said, I heard it on a Howard Stern interview, but I still remember it. She said, the body doesn't know when the mind is acting. Okay. So when you take yourself to that moment, the body will feel emotion. It will, hair will stand up on your arms. So I want people to be in the moment and feel the moment. What I love about that you're doing, and it's a repeatable, predictable process that you laid out, which is listen and work with information that you're getting on the spot. Love the part about what problem are we solving, etc. But the more that we can do as professional speakers, we do it all the time, that when we talk about things that are happening here and now, people know, boy, he must not have said that yesterday. I mean, this is really coming from the gut. So I love that. Let's get the tune to line up with your process. And I think we got it nailed.
And I will guarantee you, after re-watching this episode and thinking about it, my response will be even more fine-tuned next time. So thanks for sharing.
Good. All right. If you listen to the show, you know that I'm a former corporate trainer, still corporate trainer, but used to work for Xerox. Now I'm on my own. I have an obsession with implementation. You dropped that term in, which really made me smile a while ago. Let's make sure that we highlight it. How do you help clients integrate credibility practices and do it in their daily routines or their decision-making processes? How do we make this a habit?
I'm going to say what comes before credibility is clarity. And it's the clarity of who you are and how you serve. So, Rob, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create what's called a CPOP. CPOP stands for Customer Point of Possibilities. It is where you are executing on your purpose in less than 10 words. And what I'll do is when we're done, I'll resend you an email with the CPOP. I'll also send you the clarity roadmap, which will help you deploy it. But what we want to do is come up for you the less than 10 words that represent where you're playing, your playground, where you're playing today. So I'll just ask a couple questions and we'll just go back and forth. We're going to start off with, in 1, 2, or 3 words, who is it primarily that you serve?
I serve my seminar audiences and corporate clients.
Right. So the seminar audiences, are these that things you do yourself, or are they part of the corporate client?
Part of the corporate client. But to
Okay.
me, everything is for that audience. That's who I live for. That's who judges me. That's who's come from my goods. That's all I care about is their experience.
Got it. All right. Now, in general, let's start with, we're going to ask you both about the pain point and the pleasure point.
Okay.
So what is their primary pain point that they're encouraging, why they're hiring you, why you're speaking, why you're doing seminars?
Okay. Got a couple different topics, but I'm really branded as a sales trainer. A couple of my books are on selling, and really I can't. That's who I am at my heart. So let's just aim it for that, and not a couple other different audiences that I'll work with. So their pain point is, they've never been taught really how to sell. Been taught about their product, but not how to get somebody to want to be interested in their product, or what to do after they've explained their product. So their pain their pain point is usually a lack of sales, a lack of success. And I don't know if I'm not offering a solution, but it's usually because they think they've been trained, but they have not been formally trained.
Give me a pleasure point. When they're done with you and they deploy,
Yeah.
how are they feeling? What are they doing?
I think they feel empowered. I think they feel equipped to not win every moment, to not close every sale, but to know, win, lose, or draw, they're students of the experience they just had. So if they're, even when they're unsuccessful, they're no longer looking at the ceiling and waking up at night thinking, what did I miss? What should I have done differently? They're confident in the results because they're confident in the processes they're adhering to.
Got it. So is you do corporate clients, but is it mostly salespeople inside the corporate clients, or
Yes.
is
Yes.
everybody? Okay. So the problem is they're never going to admit the pain point. They're probably never going to say, "Yeah, I've not been trained properly," or now who's hiring you? It's not is it the sales manager, sales
Yeah,
VP,
yeah. But to your point, they're
COO?
not going to admit it, Mitchell, because they don't know it. So it's actually a broken process. Most companies, I see you wearing a hat. Most companies that sell hats put their people through sales training and teach them. We got 5 different styles, 4 different sizes. We got traveling hats, weatherproof hats. They learn all about it and they go, now you've been sales trained. So they're what we refer to as unconsciously incompetent. They don't know that they don't know.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. So, see, the customer point of possibilities, 80% of the time it focuses on the pain point. And there are a number of different pain points we could focus on. On the other hand, what I was thinking about when I do a CPOP for the audience of CEOs, huge ego, I have to do a pleasure point because they're not going to admit to the pain point. I'm leaning in the direction of giving a pleasure point for you as well. And the reason why is that I want, when the sales VP says, or CRO says, "Hey, listen, you guys got to go training, and here's the focus." By the way, your CPOP could be your tagline, doesn't have to be. The CPOP is not salesy. Yours is 6 words. Um, and what I would say is it's the who and the what. It really is that audience you serve. Corporate salespeople feeling empowered for success. The way you come across, you could take the word feeling and make the FEEL caps and make that an acronym you work from. but I think it's the feeling empowered, or you could focus on empowered as an acronym. But how does that feel based on everything you said and looking at your sites? What do you think? How does that feel for you?
I like it. I do. I like it. It's impressive. I don't know how you came up with that so fast, but it's impressive.
What I was listening for is the meaning behind the words you were saying.
Hmm.
I wanted to feel the words you were saying.
Right.
And what happens if this represents the frequency which you're vibrating today? Like you didn't say corporate salespeople, but all of a sudden when I realized everyone in the room is salespeople, I asked you that question
Right.
and I was able to get the who down to 2 words, corporate salespeople. How do you feel about your CPOP?
I like it. I think it's right on, and I'm stunned at how fast you came up with it. I will pay you a compliment and tell you that I have, I work with publicists who will spend a month or two, coming up with something like that, and multiple conversations. And that's not only do I think it's on target, I'm shocked how fast you were able to get there. So yeah, I'm impressed.
And if you wake up every morning saying, for instance, I do daily questions. One of Marshall Goldsmith's number one CEO coach on the planet, one of his activities is to do a daily set of questions. And one of my daily questions is that I change one company or one individual's life for the rest of their lives. And when I give somebody a CPOP, when I listen to them and they get their CPOP, I'm like, oh man, that's amazing. So how I've deployed this personally is I do once a month, we do 90-minute clarity sessions. When I do executive coaching with clients, the first thing we do is their CPOP. Next thing we do is, okay, how are you doing? Do your employees think that this is the case? What issues do they have? So we'll do a 360 to verify that what the CEO thinks is important is what the other people think the CEO thinks is important. How do you deploy this yourself? If you have clarity, and that clarity is articulated in less than 10 words, you now have a compass. And so basically what you're asking yourself and you're asking others, am I following the compass? Now, if marketing does a good job with the compass, they've turned the compass into a magnet. And so if marketing is doing the types of things that are bringing people in based on the magnet, which is your CPOP, and sales is selling based on the magnet, which is your CPOP, and in your heart, you're executing based on the magnet or the compass, which is you, all of a sudden, the problem many companies have is product development is fighting with customer service, which is fighting with marketing, which is fighting with sales on, okay, what's our product roadmap? But if everything is centered around a very simple concept, the articulation of who and what, all of a sudden everything starts falling into place.
Yeah. We react to two things there. First of all, just the tail end of that. We can't fix everything, but I will tell you, for over 30 years, when I put together a workshop, and I'm usually working with Fortune 500 companies, I'm typically begging the clients, even offering free seats to marketing. Let marketing come into this sales workshop. They're not going to want to come in, but let me take care of that once they're in there. They'll be glad they came in. That's how important it is to get these two sides talking, because it's almost ludicrous when you think about the fact that they don't want to play nicely with each other. Believe me, sales needs marketing and marketing needs sales. So I think we got to help companies get over that as quickly as we can. But the part that I wanted to ask you about was these 90-minute clarity sessions, which are those online? Are you doing those virtually?
I'm actually doing that virtually. It's a group session, and I have a guarantee. Everyone who comes in the room is guaranteed to get their CPOP, their customer point of possibilities, or I'll refund their money.
Sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
So Rob,
yeah,
let me tell you one of the things I found. So what's really cool about understanding where you're executing your purpose in less than 10 words, what's really cool about the CPOP is it is your vibrational energy. you are personally in alignment. If you could do that for the company, oh my God, that's incredible. So during the time you're in that meeting, during the time that I'm hearing and then giving back or listening and helping you fine tune your CPOP, you're feeling great. I've done this over 1,000 times. Here's what's fascinating. 90% of the time, the person is going to get out of alignment somewhere between 2 hours and 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is somebody who you trust that's in your core network, you're going to ask, hey, what do you think about this? And they're going to take one of those words and they're going to say, what if you use this word instead? Or what if you changed the audience a little bit? Make the audience bigger. You'll attract more people. And what happens is they help you get out of alignment.
Right.
So part of what I'm teaching as a process is, who is your clarity guide? Tell them what your CPOP is and who is helping you stay aligned with who you want to serve. And that has to be part of the process. One of the things I did recently, I'm just test driving it. I created a 30-day email sequence to remind people. So 14 emails to remind people their CPOP. Now, that's good. But here's, by the way, I like to, when I'm, my undergrad's in stochastic and deterministic models of operational research. So I wanted to postulate ahead of time what would happen. My hope is the 10% who know what to do with their CPOP will grow to 20%. Like, that's a huge growth. But that still means even if that 30-day email sequence is successful, there's still 80% of the world that if they just get a CPOP, if they get the magic answer for themselves, they can't stay in tune. So that's where I'm going. Who are the partners? Who do I play with? That they have processes today. They just need their clients to get their clarity up front.
Got it. So I can be clear. When you initially train somebody, are you doing it on site, or are you have online programs that they can go through?
This is I think you asked the question. I don't know if I answered, so I apologize for that.
Well, I was actually, you answered it, but I was looking more for the implementation. In other words, I see things sort of only through my lens. And so I'm a guy who, meat and potatoes guy. I am in the pit. I deliver on site, but I follow up and implement virtually. So in other words, I've taught you this golf swing. We're not exactly bombing it down the middle of the fairway, but we're starting to see some success. Now we meet and we hone that swing and we work on that swing. But initially, I want to have my hands on the club and that person's body and help them with that swing. Now that's my model. So what I was trying to figure out is, I got the support side. How about the initial training side?
So there's two aspects.
Yeah.
One is the corporate level and the executive coaching level. That doesn't always happen with in-person, belly to belly type conversations. It eliminates so many opportunities when you get to talk to somebody directly. You know that quite well. So at the corporate level and at the executive coaching level, it's much better,
right, to
start in person. That said, on the individual level, some of those people that we work with, it's 100% online.
Well, and I love that because
so
what are they going to do?
Right? The good news is you can come anywhere in the world, and the bad news is it really is important to find your clarity guide. Somebody keep you true to what. If you have this amazing feeling, how do you keep it? How do you focus it? How do you not take that next great idea and go, oh wait, that's a good one, let's go here.
Yeah. And what worries me, Mitchell, is that next great idea is, just as we're implementing Mitchell's swing, there's a shiny penny new swing over in the corner. I refer to it as the flavor of the month syndrome of, just as we're, because it's not real sexy afterwards. It's just, we got to just rehearse and practice and get more comfortable with it and turn this into muscle memory. That's not really as fun as the initial part. And yet that's where the best bang of the buck for the buck goes. So I hear that. I love the fact, and I've never been able to crack the code. You have. I've always struggled with individuals. Like as I said, I'm a corporate person. I'm usually with the corporate team. But other people read books. So I like the fact that you've really got a model. It can't be a live model. We're not going to go out to Topeka and deliver for one person, but we've got the next best thing. So I like that. I think that works well.
The most important thing that we all need to do today is be community superheroes, right? We need to have a community of people. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to be an influencer, influencing the world. You need to have a community of customers who talk positively about you, referral partners who talk positively about you, and people who you share as well. And being a community superhero is what we need today so that we don't become irrelevant. We need it so we can stay relevant.
Right. So you asked if I do it. I give myself a B minus, but Mitchell, we're never too old to learn. I'm giving myself a higher grade in the last couple of years. It's not an instinctive move for me. And, welcome to the real world. There are certain things that aren't instinctive. That's why we have trainers and authors like Mitchell that help us, because everything you said just now was very logical. It's just not as instinctive. And that's where making it a habit, we make it more instinctive. We put processes behind it. Testimonials is a process. I've always shied away from asking people for testimonials until last week. I mean, and I asked for testimony. I stood up there and said, as people were going, boy, this was good. Testimonial time. That was very uncomfortable for me. And you know what? I didn't faint. I didn't fall over. And every single person said, we were hoping you'd ask. So I'm a good student of yours, Mitchell, that says not so good at it, admitting it's not instinctive. Nobody bit me. Nobody got upset. I'm so glad I did it. And I picked up some nice, fresh testimonials. I was a week ahead of you, but I needed you 2 years ago.
No, that's great. And guess what? In terms of the 10 values of credibility, you showed a little bit of vulnerability. You were authentic, and you showed that you were coachable. Yeah. Like these are the things we need to do as people get to know us, to go, oh, this is somebody I want to associate myself with.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I can't stress enough the need for credibility. I'm really glad we had an opportunity to have a conversation. Trust me, we had a conversation before we pushed record, and this is the real deal here. He doesn't turn it on for the camera. This is who he is. He's Mitchell.levy, and he's a pleasure to talk to. How do people get a hold of you, Mitchell? Hit him again.
It's Mitchell.levy.com. So MITCHELLLEVY.com.
Perfect.
You could take a look at our program, sign up, and even book time directly on my calendar.
Outstanding. Easy peasy. Well, really appreciate the conversation. Loved it. And I was pretty much an audience member for about half of this, just kind of taking notes on my side. So thank you for the education. And that one of the greatest things about running a podcast is getting guests like this who are helping me evolve and helping me learn. And we go back to step one. We are never too old to learn. And the moment I go and you go, I've already been trained in that. Why would I want to listen? Shine up the golf clubs. Go play. I hear it's a good game. I don't play much, but I hear it's a good game. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, Mitchell.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rob. It was amazing. You are a great host. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Grateful. Well, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, everybody. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.